Hi, Tile from Infidelity here. Today we're going to talk about the new Mr. Speaker's Etherial headphone. This is an $1,800 planar magnetic headphone. It's got a single-sided planar magnetic driver. This is a very nicely designed headphone. I actually like the design of this headphone very much. It's not that it's really great looking or anything. It's rather sort of headphone looking, but all in all, the design is actually very, very efficient. It has these two nitinol headbands. This is memory foam or memory metal. Basically, you can twist it into any shape you want, and these headphones will always come back into the right shape. The other characteristic of this material, it has a very consistent tensiles, or I don't know what you would call it, the tension that it creates when you pull them apart, the caliper pressure essentially, but the caliper pressure remains very much the same as you move them in and out. So this metal is actually a very nice material for this application. It has a leather headband and these two little sliders that slide up and down. Makes it fairly easy to adjust the headband on your head, and when you put these clamps at the right pressure, they really hold pretty consistently. The band ends in this machined aluminum part right here that allows the headpieces to swivel back and forth, and there's a gimbal which allows them to rock back and forth. And all in all, they just go on your head very easily. They're quite a light headphone. The ear pads are very plush and ample. The ear pads are now angled, unlike the ear pads of the Ether before. Dan says these improve the bass response of the headphones, and I did find them to have a better bass response than the original Ethers. The headphones are connected to the ear pieces with this nice little snap-on connector. It makes it very easy to take the connector on and off. The new dumb, distinctly unmagical, I think Dan calls it. At any rate, it's a softer fiber cloth-covered cable now. It's about 6 feet long and has a nice nitric connector on the working end of it. And to round out the physical description, it's got this absolutely butt-ugly case that works absolutely terrific. It has a little place to store the cable underneath here, and I think of it as theft control, because who wants to pick up something that looks like that? At any rate, you may have seen my reviews on the new Focal Utopia and Etherial, and I found them to be extraordinary, sort of earth-shaking headphones. And I got the prototype, or not prototype, but pre-production Ether Flow just a little bit before I got the Focals, and I fell in love with it. And then the Focals came, and they rocked my world. And the question was, were these ones going to keep pace with the Focals? And in the end, I found that they did. The sound quality of the Ether Flow is very nice. It for a planar magnetic, it does have a very clean treble response compared to most planar magnetics. I think it does an absolutely terrific job of having a clean, articulate treble response. Also, the bass response has been significantly improved over the original Ether, which was a little bit thin sounding. These are much better in that regard. So this is a fairly well balanced headphone. Probably other than the Etherial and the Utopia, probably the best balanced over $1,000 headphone for me. But balance, and it doesn't really much. I'll start this off differently. The thing that's different now than before is that this headphone, the Mr. Speaker's Ether Flow, and the two new Focal headphones have great balance, and the balance is so good that it's hard to really fault them. It's hard to go, oh, it was a great headphone except this or except that, which was previously the case. Now with these headphones that are so balanced, what happens is that the preferable characteristics begin to define a character to the sound. Whereas before the character was missing a finger, or had an eyeball poked out. Now it's more about, okay, it's balanced across the board. What are the strong points of the headphones, and how does that make one headphone sound differently than another? And these do sound quite different than the Focals. The Focals are very balanced, of course, but very punchy and dynamic sounding. The Etherial is a little rolled off on top and a little kind of warm. And the Utopia has the punch and the slam of the Etherial, although it doesn't have quite as potent a bass, and that can kind of be fixed by putting the Etherial pads on it. But the treble response is just shockingly resolving and articulate. So the Etherial has this amazing balance of dynamism and then nuanced resolution. But the image is still small in your head. With the Mr. Speaker's Ether Flow, the presentation, unlike the two Focals, is not as dynamic and punchy sounding. It's more relaxed and laid back. In fact, it sort of has, not surprisingly, an ethereal character to it. It's very, the image is relatively large. It's relatively stable, but it's just a little bit diffuse around things. And the music just plays wonderfully in this space. I really, really enjoy these headphones a lot. They do have a little bit of a withdrawn presence region, though. And I think that adds to the sense of space and distance. After all, if something is less present, that means it's kind of more distant, and I'm just sort of realizing the obviousness of that. So these headphones have a little bit more distance around you. It does come at the expense, though, of a bit of withdrawn presence region, and because the bass is solid and the upper half of the treble is real solid, when you reduce this presence region, you get kind of a scooped response. You get a little bit of a smiley face response where the bass is emphatic and the upper treble is a little emphatic. And the bass and the low mids really are a little overemphasized on these phones because of that lack of presence region. So while it gives you distance, it also causes the headphones to sound, to me, a little bright above the presence region because it's back to where it ought to be. And so I would consider these a slightly bright headphone, but with a nice bass, basically a slightly V-shaped response. And I don't like, if anything, I like a laid-back treble on the headphone. But these headphones are cautious enough in that regard that I continue to like them. It's just not my particular taste necessarily, but they're a great headphone. So for me personally, I'd probably go for the Focal Etherial if I was looking, not to spend $4,000 on the Utopia. I think the Utopia is great, and I'd go for it. But this has a very different response than the Focal Etherial. So the Focal Etherial is tight and punchy and a little rolled off on top, where this headphone is, ethereal and floaty. But still with a solid, I'll call it a bouncy bass response. It's very nice. It's still tight. It's just not as incredibly dynamic and punchy as the Focal is. So people who want a little bit brighter sound, a little bit lighter sound, a little more distance, and a little more space to the sound than the Focal can deliver, I think will be really happy with this headphone. It's sort of like splitting the difference between the Focal Etherial, which is punchy, and the Hi-Fi Man HE1000, which is very ephemeral almost and very soft sounding. This kind of splits the difference in a very, very, very nice way. So $1,800. I should compare it to the HD800S, which at this point is probably going to fall off the wall of fame because this headphone is so much more pleasant to listen to. Even though it's a slightly bright headphone, it is not the bright or the analytical kind of thinner sound of the HD800S. The bass response here is much better. The treble response is not quite as articulate. You don't have quite the distance, but the tonality is I much prefer it over the HD800S, which to me now is just too thin and analytical. So yeah, $1,700 or $1,800, $1,799. It's a lot of money to spend on a headphone, but I think at this point, this is a solid purchase in that category, and this baby will definitely be making the Wall of Fame. I'll be reviewing the Ether Flow C very soon, which is also a lovely headphone, and I'm very happy to welcome Dan into the new and tougher world of world-class headphones, because he's done just that with the Ether Flows. So, hope you get a chance to listen one soon. It's a very, very, very nice headphone, and I'll see you guys next time.